Okay, be honest. Have you ever been in a training session so unbelievably dull you'd rather walk the plank? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if we could turn that mind-numbing corporate training into a real high-seas adventure? Well, that's what we're doing today. We're going to grab a treasure map and explore how gamification can turn pretty much any learning experience into an epic quest. So, what do you say? Let's chart a course to making learning fun again.
I love this. It just perfectly sets the tone for our journey, right? We're not just designing training here. We're adopting a whole new mindset, a more adventurous one. It's about being bold, getting creative, and being ready to plunder some of those old, frankly boring ideas about what learning has to be.
Now, before we set sail, let's get our bearings straight on a really key point. You'll hear these two terms thrown around a lot. Game-based learning is when you use an actual game to teach something. But what we're focused on today is gamification. That's all about taking the fun parts of games, points, challenges, leaderboards, and applying them to something that isn't a game, like your company's safety training or a wellness program.
Every great adventure needs a guide and a map, right? Well, that's how we're going to approach this. This isn't just a to-do list, it's a series of quests. And we've got a guide to show us the way, someone who got inspired to think very, very differently about learning and development.
So, meet Nick. Like a lot of us, he kind of yearned for adventure but found himself stuck in the corporate world. But then, he heard a keynote on gamification, and it was like a light bulb went off. He realized his ancestors' wild tales of piracy actually held the secrets to making learning genuinely engaging. He's going to be our guide on this design adventure.
And this right here, this is our treasure map. So forget a boring old agenda. We have 5 quests that are going to guide us all the way from figuring out our goals to launching a full-on, fun, and effective learning experience. First stop, the Lost Lagoon. Let's start Quest 1.
Okay, Quest 1 is all about charting the course, and I can't stress this enough. This is the foundation for everything else. Before you can even think about designing a game or an experience, you have to know exactly where you're going, and just as important, who you're taking with you.
So here's the deal. Gamification isn't just about making things fun for fun's sake, it has to get results. Are you trying to cut down on employee turnover? Or maybe get more people to participate in a wellness program? You absolutely need a clear business objective. Otherwise, you're just sailing aimlessly on a ghost ship to nowhere.
All right, once you know your destination, you've got to understand your crew, your learners. What makes them tick? What gets them excited to even show up and participate? Because let me tell you, a one-size-fits-all approach is a surefire way to sink your ship before it even leaves the harbor.
So, how do we figure out what motivates our crew? Well, we can use a framework, like the Rice Motivation Profile. It breaks down what drives us as humans into 16 core desires. Think about it. Some people are driven by a need for status. They're going to love a leaderboard. Others are all about curiosity, and they'll want to explore every single nook and cranny of your learning map. The key is to know which levers to pull for your specific audience.
And this is kind of how those motivators can translate into different player types. Someone who's high in that desire for social contact, well, they're a sociable player. They're going to thrive on team activities and some friendly competition. But a private player might prefer individual challenges and just tracking their own personal progress. You got to design for both.
To wrap up our first quest, let's take some advice from Captain Nathaniel himself. Start dirty, stay dirty. In design speak, this basically means don't try to make everything perfect on your first go. Just get your ideas down on paper. Be messy. You can refine it all later. After all, the best treasure maps always start out as just a rough sketch.
On to Quest 2. Every great game, whether it's a simple board game or some huge online world, has a story. A good narrative is what hooks us emotionally, and it makes us actually care about what happens next. Your learning program needs one too. I know what you're thinking. A topic like payroll administration is way too boring for a story. Think again. Check out this example. It transforms these complex, dry payroll issues into a Snow White-themed adventure. Suddenly, a wage garnishment case becomes a tale about Grumpy Gus. It's memorable, it's fun, and it actually works.
All right, let's pull into Pirate Pete's Tavern for our next 2 quests. Now here we're going to tackle the grog, that's the real substantial learning activities that fuel the crew, and the booty, which are the rewards that keep them motivated. These 2 things have to work together perfectly. So the goal for Quest 3 is simple. No more dull lectures. We need active, engaging scenarios where learners are actually doing something. Instead of a 90-slide PowerPoint on cybersecurity, maybe they have to solve a puzzle to fend off a rival pirate crew that's trying to steal the ship's data. It's all about creating challenges, not just dumping content on people. And for Quest 4, we've got the booty. Now, extrinsic rewards, things like points and badges, they're great for short-term motivation, but the real treasure, the stuff that really lasts, is intrinsic. It's that feeling of mastering a new skill, the camaraderie you feel working with a team, that deep sense of accomplishment. That's the kind of motivation that truly sticks with you.
We've made it. We have reached our fifth and final quest, Shipwreck Reef. This is where we make sure all the pieces of our map, the story, the activities, the rewards, all come together into one cohesive and hopefully unforgettable journey. So here's your final little checklist before you launch. You've got to ask yourself, do my game elements actually support the learning? What emotions do I want my learners to feel? Excitement, curiosity, a sense of belonging? And of course, the most important question of all, is it actually fun?
Please never forget this. Fun isn't frivolous. It's an incredibly powerful tool for engagement. And when your learners are engaged, they remember more, they apply more, and they actually achieve those business goals we set all the way back in Quest 1.
And really, this is the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Your employees, your team, your learners, they just deserve better than boring, forgettable training. They deserve experiences that respect their time, that engage their minds, and maybe, just maybe, even make them smile.
So, this all leaves us with one final and I think really important question. In a world where we're all constantly distracted, maybe the most serious thing we can do for learning and development is to finally embrace the power of fun. What do you think?